we start the show, okay? Because I'm hearing you, yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right. Stream is starting, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is John. It's Friday. It's office hours. The interview edition. I think I got the audio worked out, but you got to see 3 different preview slides. One was Phil. One was the office hour title card with something else in it. And then this, which is what you were supposed to see in the first place. One of these days, I will get the intro down, Alex. One of these days. Today, we are doing something really, really cool. We are talking with Phil Bowyer. Phil breaks rules, and I love that because I am a big-time rule breaker, starting, in 1971. We'll go there. Today's shows, though, before we talk to Phil... Shit, Alex, why does your lower third keep coming through on these cards? Really
because
funny.
I am just everywhere.
Must be.
Yep.
Must be. All right, so this was... Okay, so we've blown the intro already. It doesn't matter. It's Friday, people. Today's show is brought to you by Google. It's always brought to you by Google because without Google, we wouldn't be doing this at all. They're the ones who came up with these awesome services. It is also brought to you by Wirecast because we are using Wirecast right now. It's maxing out the CPU and resources on this incredible machine, but through Wirecast, we are able to do more than a talking head show with Hangouts. Want to learn more about Wirecast and how to do produced Hangouts? Talk to me and Alex. Join the SEOWiSE community. This is what we do. Our special guest is Phil Bowyer. This is a little info about him. I grabbed this quote off of his website. I love this. Everybody says write good shit like it's something new and extraordinary. What they leave out is how exactly to accomplish it. And I'd have to say, you're right. But it goes right into what Phil was talking about absolutes. And we're going to discuss that today. Difference between knowledge and wisdom. Read Phil's story and tagline. I love this. Introduction. Okay. Businessman, activist, foodie, metalhead. Not necessarily in that order, and most of the time all at once. Phil sounds like a kindred spirit. So let's switch here and everybody can see who the hell Phil is. How you doing, Phil?
Good.
You're finally good to see you. So,
yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you've seen this show before, the format of it, but it does. You have. Okay. The fact that you've seen the show and I'm adjusting the camera right in the middle of the shot. Hey, everybody, how was that for professional? You know that this show kind of has its quirks. Sometimes we've got tech problems, but all of the time, what we do in this show is talk to each other openly. We're very transparent about the fuck-ups. We're very transparent about what's going on, and I'm a big proponent of transparency. I'd like to get your take before we go into some other things on, what do you think about the whole transparency movement, this idea of moving into Google Plus, and anonymity is no longer valued, and we gotta be who we are and be true to ourselves. What do you think about that?
I was never a fan of the whole anonymous thing, being anonymous. Well, I mean, the anonymous movement, yeah, the hacker guides, yeah, that's cool, but the idea of people being anonymous, I don't think that's a good way to build relationships, and I've always been open, and I've always used my real name online, unless I was pimping a business, but even then, people knew it was me behind the business and my personality and things like that, so I'm all over this transparent thing, and I think it's actually what makes Google Plus so kick-ass too, because everybody's real and we can all talk to each other and we know who is who, and I love it. It's my favorite network.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I've actually kind of left all the other places I push stuff from here, and it just automatically propagates LinkedIn and other things. But I make it very clear, if you'd like to talk with me, find me in Google+. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're about the same, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of bailed on, well, I don't even have a presence on Facebook anymore. Once Google Plus came out, I bailed on Facebook, and I kind of, not on purpose, it just kind of happened that way. I just kind of left Twitter. I'm starting to get back into it more now, and I'm having some fun over there, but it's still...
Really?
I'm not getting the same traction, the same experience as I am here. And really on Twitter, where I'm getting the most fun is conversations and tweet chats and things like that. So,
Interesting.
I'm going to bring Alex in the shot here. Everybody say hi to Alex. Alex, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay. I had teacher duties. Gotta love that word, duties.
Nice. Very adult.
I know, right? Very teachery of me. I have a question for Phil. We connected because I have a daughter that will be going to college soon. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder, how much of this do you try to teach her about? How much do you talk to her about, transparency online and the different social networks that she's using?
Well, that's a tricky subject, to have your daughter be open and transparent online with all the psychos out there and things like that. So there's a delicate balance there. Now, what I've seen her do, the teenagers seem to use social media a little differently than us adults do. They seem to have conversations back and forth with people they know, like in real life, as opposed to strangers or people that they haven't met. So I talked to her about the power of this technology, but also to be careful. So it's that delicate balance of being aware of what's going on, and especially for women, us guys don't have a lot of the same worries that women do online. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the random message chats that I get. I haven't gotten any recently, which is interesting. Where would you say she primarily is in social media? Does she stick to, most of my students stick to Twitter and Snapchat, but I'm just curious, is she a tweeter?
Yeah, I would say Twitter, Snapchat. I think those are probably the two primary places, and just straight texting back and forth. So I got her on WhatsApp, but then Facebook bought them, so then it's like, okay, we got to get a different one. So we're trying WeChat out for now. So
I got a question on this. I know we're talking about kids and what internet security. And sorry, I was adjusting the delay. Apparently, I had an echo when I hadn't figured out the delay on you yet, Alex, and showed up in a different pipe. So I'm interested to know if I still have an echo, because that would be horribly irritating.
I don't hear it.
Well, no, you guys won't hear it. This is totally broadcast side of things. Like I said, Phil, when you bring in Wirecast, it's a whole new game, man. It's a whole different world. Question about Twitter. So Gary Vaynerchuk uses Twitter, and he's a big proponent of it. And I've heard other people say that that's where the real conversations happen. And quite frankly, I hate to say it, but how the hell do you have a real, genuine conversation in 140 characters at a time in a place where I don't get to see you face to face for something that to me was designed for anonymity? So tell me what you get out of Twitter in that regard.
I started on Twitter when they first launched, whenever that, like 7 years ago or whenever it was. And actually, Gary was one of the first guys that I connected with over there, and we had chats. And back then, you could have conversations because it was pretty much the only social network where you really could have conversations. Back then, MySpace was the big network, and you really, there was comments. You really couldn't have conversations, although MySpace was valuable back in the day. Facebook was kind of coming out, going public at that point, but I never really liked Facebook anyway, so I didn't spend too much time there.
Right.
So Twitter, you could have conversations. Yes, it was limited. Yes, it was difficult. You had to do it in 10 different tweets sometimes, which made it frustrating. And I would call bullshit, actually, that Twitter is the place to have conversations. I think you can, but I think Google Plus is the place where you have conversations, especially like this here, where you can get on Hangouts and see face-to-face and have these conversations. And even, you know, Alex and I have been having conversations back and forth in comments and posts and stuff like that. And though that's been, we've gotten to know each other a little bit through that. And, you know, now, you know, after all these months, we finally get to talk face-to-face, and it's going to bring that, you know, that relationship that we've built even closer now. And, you know, I just think Google Plus, you know, trumps Twitter any day. Not to say that there's no value in Twitter. I think it's there, but it's kind of it's different.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you. Pick the perfect time to switch back to a full shot of you with your lower third there. So just sit there and look interesting while I change it back to another one.
The delays on my shots are very irritating. I don't know who cares about that right now. But Alex, it's like I click it, and it takes a couple seconds for it to actually go. Very weird right now.
Give it time to think.
It's
not everyone and everything is a mile a minute. All right, John.
Okay, 20 gigabytes RAM. Okay, if you've got 20 gigabytes of RAM inside your head, there shouldn't be any issues there. It should be done.
And you should know by now that means absolutely nothing to me.
The average computer has about four. All right. So this has 5 times an average computer's RAM. I love this every time. So this is also part of the problem. Is I've got myself muted on this one back over here. So we see that pop up in Alex's. This is so much fun. I just got to tell you, everybody, we're having a fun time talking to Phil. But this whole week's been crazy. And in a couple weeks here, we're going to have a different set of gear. And everything you're seeing is going to be even better. If you don't think this is good, just wait. I can't wait to show you. All right. So we're talking about conversations, and I feel I can't thank you enough for calling bullshit on Twitter being a place where conversation happens. I'm sorry, until you make Twitter function like Google Plus, it's not. And then I want to add one more little piece to that, and I want to get your opinion on this, just as somebody who, you know, on your site, I help
business owners, I help entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. You've got all these different words for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, knowing what Google is, and this will tie into knowledge versus wisdom. This will be interesting. Knowing what Google is and how they function. Understanding the basic concept that Google is search. Okay? We can say there's Bing and there's Yahoo, but Google is 90% of search. So stop talking about these other places like they actually matter. All right? Knowing that it's search, knowing that what we do in Plus is completely interwoven with search, and that our posts rank in search, and that is the social entity. You know, why would any business owner today ignore Google Plus? I just got to ask that. Is there a reason you could see a brand or some entrepreneur going, I really don't need to be there?
Because their audience isn't here. And I think the idea of, like I talked about yesterday, you know, these absolutes that you absolutely have to be on Google Plus or on Twitter or on Facebook or on whatever network that's popular at the time, I think that's also bullshit, because you have to look at each business is individual, and everybody needs to look at their own situation and react and plan accordingly. Now, I personally feel like there's a tremendous power on Google Plus, and I think, you know, 9 out of 10 business owners are going to find a value here, and I don't think they should ignore it. However, there is that fraction that their audience simply isn't here, and that for them, Twitter would be a better use of their time, or Pinterest, or whatever.
All right, hang on. I gotta stop right there. But the point of Google search is to grow an audience, right? The point of being on the web is to grow your audience. None of us had an audience in Google Plus when we started. That's the point. And if you want to stay with your ecosystem, great. I'm pitching to the same freaking audience every goddamn day, and they know what I sell. I'm sorry, I hear what you're saying, but the point is to build a bigger audience. I mean, if I wanted to talk to the same 100 fucking people every day, I'd stay on Facebook and try to sell them the same shit every day.
But see, this is where you and I have a difference of opinion. I'm not into the huge growth of that, and I'm not. I believe more in relationships in building business. I like to build relationships to grow my business. And yes, that's slower. Yes, it's more difficult. It's more time consuming. But I believe, from my experience, that it's also more powerful. And
I don't argue with you there.
And I think search is less important to me than it may be to other people. So I don't, and I know this is a SEOWiSE show, and I'm sorry, but
no, this is good. Keep going.
But going to like, I'm a big fan of David Amerland and what he says about semantic search, and I'm in that respect, I love search, and I think this is where we need to be thinking about in building relationships, because those relationships are going to help our social media posts expand in their reach. It's going to, which in turn then rises our websites up in the rankings. So I think we need to be looking at the whole picture and not just SEO or not just social media or even Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook. I think we need to be connecting all of the dots, and I think that's where the wisdom comes in. That's where we become powerful and we become successful when we begin to connect everything and not isolate one thing over the other, or not even elevate one thing over the other.
Okay, no, I think that's beautiful. I don't disagree with anything you had to say, honestly. And if you're gonna, okay, so I get it. Search is search, and everybody wants to rank in search. Okay, that's the point. But the search we want to rank in happens to be owned by Google. Okay, so there is a preference. There is a big, huge difference between Facebook and Google Plus, because Facebook does not own 90% of global volume. Okay, Facebook does not index the entire goddamn web. Google does, and it integrates that with Plus. So I get what you're saying. It is about the individual relationships. I agree. I'm not talking about building a mass of 1 billion followers who don't give a shit about anything you do. I'm talking building those one-on-one relationships. But I want to build those relationships with new people that I connect with. Right. Not the same bunch of people that I've been working with for years. Right? So I get that. And we can find them anywhere. I get what you're saying. I could find them on Twitter. I can find them in other places. If we say yes, the idea is about building relationships in general, one-on-one relationships. I want to build a relationship just with you. I don't care if I sell you anything. It's important to me to get to know who you are, okay? Down the road, you could turn me on to a customer. I could turn you on to a customer. We could end up building something amazing together, okay? The point is just to get to know each other, because that connection is valuable to me and should be valuable to you either way, right? Okay. So if that's the truth, I'm going to finish and I'm going to let you go. I just want to wrap it up with this. If that's the truth, then my connections in Google should matter to me more importantly, because it's 90% of global web volume, and that helps build me. My connections in Twitter and Facebook and other places don't really do anything for me outside of those connections. That's great. But if I want that to count for my humanness, who I am in author rank in the web that is Google, which is significantly different from everything else we talk about, then I'm better off spending my time there. Go.
Well, I think if you look at Google as a whole, including YouTube, I would agree with that statement. I do think there's obviously exceptions, but I look at I work with a lot of independent banks, and there's no value on G+ to them, very little, at least at this point, with the exception of Hangouts. I think Hangouts are a good tool, but YouTube, though, which ties into the Hangout thing, is extremely powerful for independent banks. And
are you saying bands or brands? Sorry, bands or brands?
As in music.
Oh, really? Okay. Cool.
So for them, YouTube is the most powerful network ever.
Yeah.
And that trumps Google Plus, Twitter, everything. So, and now that YouTube is so embedded into Google Plus, with Hangouts and things like that, there's an opportunity for them to slide in there.
Yep.
But, a lot of artists don't know how to be social either, so there's that.
Yeah.
So I won't get into that, but, bottom line is I think every business owner needs to look at what's right for them and see how the tools apply to them. I mean, Google Plus, YouTube, Twitter, these are nothing more than tools that we use to apply to grow our business. So,
sure.
We all need to use them differently and in different amounts, and we all bake our cake a little different. So
that's true. That's very true. All right, good point. Well, when we do another show that lasts longer than this, we'll have to talk more about that. Alex, you're on cam with everybody. What I'd like you to do is bring us into the actual topic that we were supposed to discuss, even though we're supposed to end the show here in 2 minutes. So we're supposed to talk about knowledge versus wisdom. And we were supposed to talk about rule breaking, so would you like to lead us into that actual discussion?
Well, I've been seeing Phil's rule breaking series for a while, but his topic for this month really caught my eye because he introduced it as knowledge versus wisdom, and it just started me thinking about what we're doing with Glass in the class, and are we breaking rules to encourage that idea of wisdom and learning, or John, as you said, maybe we're not breaking the rules, maybe we're just changing our approach to the learning environment. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of have that discussion with Phil, how he sees rule breaking kind of fit into the learning process.
Yeah, I think what you're doing with Glass in the Class is pretty awesome. You had David Amerland on again, big fan, and he had Todd on yesterday, I think it was. I'm losing all track of my days. To give students access to that kind of thinking and that kind of more philosophical type of learning, I think is invaluable, and it's something that I wish I had when I went to school. I am not a big fan of formal education because I think it fits within a certain rule book, and I think there's value in that. Don't get me wrong, but I think what you're doing with that, you're really just kicking it up, and I think you're making everybody else look bad that's teaching, because it's really cool what you're doing for your students. And Todd asked, who wants to just get up and leave, and there's a couple timid people, it's like, I wanted to shake them. It's like, what the hell's the matter with you? Don't you know what you have here? But, I guess youth is wasted on the young, so.
That's awesome. I have to, what we're doing there is, I gotta say, there's other people attempting to do the same thing. What the approach that Alex and I took was to make the technology function as best as it could first, because we know that what's going to happen in the classroom is going to be great either way. But if people can't enjoy watching it, if people are distracted because it looks like shit, or if nothing's in sync, or if all you're seeing is talking heads, which is 99% of Hangouts these days, after 5 minutes, you're bored. And so I think the point is to say education can't be boring. And you can institutionalize it, and the moment you do that, if you don't take great care in how you institutionalize it, you make it boring as fuck. Period, the end. And what you've done is reduce it to a common denominator. Well, if we only spend 5 cents, it'll be seriously boring, but they'll learn math. Right? It's like, well, but my God, if we spent 10 cents, it could be interesting, and they might give a shit about math. Right? That's the difference. And I'm not going to go political on this. I do want to talk knowledge versus wisdom. I like your definition. Here, let me pull up the slide. I made a slide, Alex. Why don't we use it?
Oh my God.
Here's the slide, people, and we're just going to run over.
So unless you need to go somewhere, do you have another
call? Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good till about 2 o'clock. So.
Oh, great.
For another half hour.
So here's the definitions here. Knowledge, facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. The theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. following, like you said, Phil. You said that was following. I'm taking somebody's knowledge. These 10 tips on how to be the best blogger ever, or whatever that crap happens to be, right? I liked what you said about it, but I want to say that's somebody else made that point in your call or in your show. They said, that's where you start. You start by following, and then you gain wisdom and you lead, right? Or you become the leader, and that's wisdom, the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. So wisdom basically takes time, right? So the people we elect as our leaders are supposed to be wise. There's a problem there, a big
Yes, there is.
problem there. The people we elect as leaders have
Shitty education. They've been in our institutionalized systems. They have no idea how to think outside of a box because all they've ever been in is a goddamn box. Right? And people like Annabelle Howard, and I want to bring up Big Fun Education, and then I'm going to shut up and let you talk more, Alex. Annabelle Howard. Am I? I haven't gone super conspiracy theory political yet.
No, when you get there, I will stop you.
Thank you.
Well, that's where the fun begins, though.
Yeah, Phil, we're going to do another show on that. You and I are just going to talk shit, all right? Because I have a feeling we have a lot of same feelings on that regard. Now I lost my point in general. The hell was I talking about? See, this is what happens when I get off track.
This is what happens when you get off track.
It is.
Annabelle Howard.
Annabelle Howard, thank you. Look, what she's trying to do is dance around the box. Okay, and she's like, fine, common core. We have a box, and you're going to force me to use this box because it's the government. Let's see how much fun we can have with it. Right? She's kicking it around, throwing it up in the air, filling it full of helium. She's doing all sorts of fun stuff with that box. She's figured out how to take education, plays, drama, and make them interesting and cool, and fit them to the Common Core guidelines. That takes talent. To fit something interesting and fun into an incredibly boring and ridiculously stupid long set of rules for education. Right? So
yeah, she's every time kindergarten teacher I wish I had. Like she's so fantastic. Her son was trying to explain math to her and she was like, don't tell me all these technical terms. Those are going to be gumdrops. And he explained the whole thing using gumdrops. It was awesome. Seriously. Like she takes the smallest things and makes them. She shared a clip of Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show with Lindsay Lohan, and they played a game like whoever gets the higher card gets to dump water on the other person. She was like, wouldn't it be great if we use this for that one bad kid in class? Like, this is what you do with them. When they're the bad kid, you sit and you play this game with them. I was like, yes, I would love to do that with, like, half my students. But, it's just like she takes these things and she's like, we can incorporate this. We can have fun. She's an amazing person. She really is.
Wow. And so that gets into a bigger statement. Back to breaking the rules, Phil. I think one of the things that America used to be known for, and we didn't call it rule breaking, but we called it innovative thinking. Right? The fact that our kids were raised to question. They were raised to break rules. Because really questioning, dissension, saying, hey, I think it can be done better this way, or why the hell do you tell me to do it like this? That's dumb. Right? That's nothing more than the precursor to breaking the rules, right? That's knowledge, and then we get wise and we break rules. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, in the days where we have police officers in schools and we have zero tolerance policies and all this crap, it's we're not even teaching anymore really in the public schools. We're teaching to test. Memorize these answers so you can do well on this test so the school can get more money, and that's all it is. Kids graduate without having a freaking clue on how to do half the things they should be doing. And Alex, by the time they get to her, it's like, okay, they have to start all over again because okay, this is what you're supposed to know. Everything you just spent in the last 15 years, okay, let's start over. And I think that's ridiculous. We need to have more, my kids actually had a English teacher that told them that they could not interpret a poem a certain way, that this is what this poem actually means.
Really?
Like, that's total bullshit. No, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, we need to give kids early on the ability to break rules, question, and allow them to think. Just think. Even if they're wrong, just give them the ability to think and build those critical thinking skills that they need. And,
Right.
You know, that's sorely missing these days. And I think that's why now we have such a world of followers and not true leaders, because everybody's used to following and not used to leading.
Well, it's safer to follow.
It is.
Bill. You don't get told you're wrong when you follow. You don't get told that you screwed up. I mean, there was one statement you made in the video I watched that I loved, and it was basically something about the amount of failure. And I gotta say this: I am a serial failure in terms of entrepreneurship, right? But I'm a wise fucker in that regard, because I've learned from every single complete failure. Right? And the partial failures. And the ones that, Alex just says, oh my God, he's a fucking nutcase. I mean, there have been, there's Todd could tell you that about a half hour ago, or not half an hour ago, I was screaming again, Alex, because shit wasn't working again. Right? And then I sat back and I laughed. I said, gee, Todd, why am I so angry at this? This happens all the time. Right? But that wisdom, the ability to not get as upset as I had before, right? That's wisdom. That's the ability to do that. Failing is important. Being told that you failed is important. Coming in last matters. Right? So this goes to our education system in general, that we teach kids that it's everybody wins. No, not everybody wins. If we want our kids to remain competitive, if we want our kids to remain critical thinkers, if we want our kids to be able to think for themselves and not be followers, then they have to lose. They have to suffer. They have to understand what it means to skin a knee, crack your skull open, whatever it happens to be. Right?
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Everybody gets a trophy shit. that pisses me off.
But it's the same. To me, it's the same shit. Everybody gets a trophy means you don't learn a lesson from losing. Right?
You don't learn that you suck, and that if you want to be better at that. When I was 6, 7 years old, I was in Little League, and our team came in last place. We absolutely sucked.
Right.
And we still got a trophy. It's like, why the hell do we deserve a trophy? It was cool back then. I'm like, yeah, look at me. But, now I'm like, that was stupid.
Well,
we deserve that. And that shit does more harm than good.
Yeah, so let's make that a simple solution, right? Because I remember when I grew up, though, not everybody got a trophy, okay? But when we came in last, and we played a lot of soccer, in Colorado, soccer was the thing, right? And you lost all the time. But they taught you that, great, you lost the game. Now go celebrate the fact that you played really hard. Okay? Go have pizza and pop and just enjoy the fact that it was fun. You lost the game, and we're going to work on being better next time. Great, move on. And I had one kid that played football 1 year. And my kids were not interested in hard contact sports. They were actually more interested in academics. And not by mind pushing. Look at that. But Alex joined in football 1 year just to try. And the ex-wife and I, wife at the time, we decided to be the football mom, parents. Oh shit, that was a bad choice. Because we'd never done it in the football world. We'd done the soccer world. Okay? Soccer world, pretty nice. Everybody's calm. Everybody's like, it's about the kids playing and learning the game. Football world was cutthroat. I got it wasn't even about the kids. We got bitched at because we picked a pizza party place that didn't serve beer. And they were like,
how dare you?
It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know your kid wanted to get drunk for the pizza party. So, forgive me. He's only 12. Maybe you're used to Europe. I'm sorry. And that was the so anyway. Back to the real point of this is that our kids need to fail. They need to learn how to grow from those experiences. Knowledge is all we're giving them. Wisdom is what we should be giving them. Right?
Right. Yeah, we need to be giving them the opportunity to be wise and to gain wisdom and to use what they've learned in real world scenarios and apply that so they truly understand it, and it goes deeper than just passing a test. And we don't do that. I don't know why, but we just don't.
Yeah. Alex, do you have any closing educational statements to make on this?
No, I can say that getting my students to think critically has been an uphill battle for me. I think the first issue that I run into is that because I am an intro course, because I am a freshman course, they don't expect it to be that challenging, especially when I have upperclassmen. They're just like, oh, I'm going to get by, it's going to be a breeze. And it's not even that I reflect it in their grade. I mean, you can easily pass my class without doing critical thinking, but I know who is trying to do the critical thinking and who isn't. And I think it's interesting. I've mentioned before, I have to take a teaching course, and one of the books that we had to read, it's by a teacher who's been teaching for like 20 years. And he says, at the college level, we experience this, we basically take the underneath these students because they've gone through this system, and then they get to college and we expect things of them, and we kind of do this like, everything you learned, it could all be wrong. Sorry. And we're the first people to do that. So when you learn, you have to be very, very careful about how you do that, because you can so easily lose students if you push them too hard, too fast. So the critical thinking is definitely, it's my end goal, it's my end all be all in teaching, but it is a struggle from day one with my students. And I can't say that all of them leave my class critical thinkers, but the few that do, those are the ones that I hang on to till next term. I'm like, okay, it works for some of you, I'll keep going. But I know it is difficult in even higher education. It's been very difficult.
Well, they're trained otherwise. They're not trained to think. So, yeah, it's an uphill battle. Yeah, but you're doing it in a cool way. You're bringing really smart people on to talk to them and give this outside view that you're not going to get from a book. It's real. These guys are sharing wisdom with people, and I think that's the key. So, yeah, kudos to you for kicking ass with your students.
Well, thanks. I hope they realize it. If not this year, in a couple of years, I get some random email being like, hey, I actually learned something. All right.
It happens all the time, Alex. All the time. The teachers that care, the teachers that matter to the students, they'll never forget them. They just won't.
And that brings us into a whole other topic we won't go into, and that's, teachers have to earn a living. And I hear a lot of people, and I'm going to say this, on the conservative side of things, who have all benefited from probably a private education. But I heard a lot of them talk about how teaching is a vocation. And that vocations don't really need to be paid all that well. They should just be happy that it's what they do, and it's their passion, right? Well, I think lawyering should be a vocation too, all right? And how about your fire department? Is that a vocation? When you get into concepts like this, when you tell me that it's more important to spend money on our military than it is to spend money on educating the people that will eventually be holding the weapons the military is creating, you're idiots. So we need to improve our education system. I like the path that Phil suggests here of rule breaking. I like the path of Annabelle Howard, who's saying, let's just figure out how to take technology and work it with your silly Common Core. I like the path of me and Alex trying to say, I don't know whether this is going to do anything for anybody if we try to scale it up. But right now, we're going to bring glass to the classroom and enrich some students' lives. We're going to just bridge that connection and see what happens. But my favorite is this guy Steve. I think his name is Hagedon. He's going to hate me for that. He's a really big, well-known guy. And Annabelle Howard turned me onto this guy. He's got the biggest education platform. It'd be interesting for us to talk about this another time. All of us actually. He's been doing web education for a long time, and he's got a big name for it. Google kind of, from what I understand, and I don't have both sides of the story, kind of snubbed him on the whole glass in the classroom thing, and really didn't get his take on that, and so he's kind of a little injured over that. But he's got what I think is the solution for education, and it's these micro learning communities where skip the classroom, skip the structured education. Give kids the tools to go find their own damn knowledge. In other words, teach them how to Google it. Give them access to the internet and tell them to go. Right? Give them maybe somebody to help guide their structure each day. But the institutional class system doesn't need to exist now that a kid can get their education through a Chromebook or a tablet. Right? When we can bring them to the classroom this way. That kid who can't get to the bus stop, who doesn't have a ride to school, who doesn't even have a lunch, right? If we can get him access to the internet, we can educate that kid, and hopefully they'll be able to provide better for their kids because of that education. And we have the technology to do that. It's going to take a lot of rule breaking to do something like this, because it is so not the way our government thinks. Right? It's our government is pull it all together, find the lowest common denominator, and push it out. And we're saying teach everybody as an individual, let them grow as individuals, and then push them out. Right? That's the big difference. So I think really, Phil, your knowledge versus wisdom is exactly what it is. Our education system has been knowledging kids for a long time. We need to be wisdoming them. And yeah, I just made up those two ridiculous words. But the truth is that we've been giving them knowledge. We need to give them wisdom. And one last thing, but isn't this exactly the kind of education that ancient cities like Greece, Athens used to have? You went, you sat, you had a discussion with your mentor. You didn't go into a classroom and get pounded in the face with the same bullshit that they made up 20 years ago. I mean, we're evolving it through technology, but the truth is, we knew this was the best way to do it 5,000 years ago. Just forgot.
Well, yeah, we can get into the whole conspiracy on why that is.
I agree. Alex, do you have anything else to say? I gotta wrap this up.
I don't.
All right.
I feel like you just opened a whole new can of worms. We'll put it aside, because I do believe in some form of a co-learning environment, but I also do believe in individual learning. I think you need a balance between the two. But another topic for another time.
Absolutely. Alrighty then. Well, everybody, this has been Office Hours, the Friday edition that lasted way longer than 30 minutes. Appreciate you for sticking around. If you want to know more about Phil, find him on Google Plus or on Twitter. Go to his website, read about what he does. Phil, in essence, and I'm going to paraphrase here, and feel free to fill it in. Oh, that was a horrible pun. In essence, what Phil does is help business owners, help entrepreneurs feel comfortable with stepping outside of what they think is the box and saying fuck it. Okay? It's kind of hypocritical because he's going to give you a process to say screw the process. But the truth of the matter is, it's just about working with you to come out of the shell. And this is the first step, in my opinion, of removing the anonymous aspect of business owners on the web. So Phil really is a starting place for all entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out how to be authentic and not freak their shit about it. Is that a good paraphrase, Phil?
That's perfect. And what you said too about the process, You know, what I do is the process comes from within them. I mean, everybody's got to have their own rule book, and that's what I help people, you know, entrepreneurs do, is develop their own rule book so they can go out there and kick some ass and get to their destination. So.
Okay. Excellent. I love that. So, if you're interested in learning more about Phil, there's his card there from Google Plus. For Alex and myself and Phil and Todd and all of us at SEOWiSE, thank you for joining us on Office Hours today. We will see you next Wednesday. Alex, are we pimping anything in particular?
Not at the moment, not for Wednesday.
Okay. So, nothing in particular to pimp for next Wednesday. Thursday, who are we having for Blast in the Class?
We are having the wonderful Mark Traphagen.
Wow, Mark Traphagen for Blast in the Class, and then on Friday is way too far in advance. So, we will see you guys next Wednesday. This is John, Alex, and Phil saying we're out of here for Office Hours.
Later.